everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Judgy Cow. Thank you for being here today. We've got another couple of great stories on Reddit, but before we get started, can I ask you to like, subscribe, just so we can help the channel. And if you've got any friends that you think might enjoy watching our videos, then please feel free to share the video. So today the stories we're going to be doing are on inheritance, and I have to say this is literally my favorite part of my favorite type of story on Reddit. So yeah, let's get started. Story 1. AITA for not sharing my stepdad's inheritance with my brother. My 25 female dad passed away when I was very young, and my mother married my stepdad Lee when I was 5. Lee is wealthy, and my mum never had to work, and I was given everything growing up. The only thing we never received was acceptance from Lee's family. They were not pleased that Lee chose to marry a widow with a child. Lee and I were close, and he continued to care for me even after my brother, Sam, 18, was born. My mum clearly favoured Sam and didn't really focus much on Lee. Lee's relatives warmed up to my mum a little with the birth of Sam, but I was still treated like something invisible. Sam was often invited to Lee's relatives' houses to play, and he and I are not very close. I decided to go to university overseas, and Lee gave me enough money that I didn't have to work or worry financially. He also was the only one calling or writing me regularly. I talked to my mum or Sam like once every couple of months during my university days. After graduation, Lee wanted me to come home, but I wanted to work and be on my own for a bit. The pandemic happened, and I was unable to fly back. When the lockdown was over, my family came to visit me once and left when I preferred to continue working where I am. Lee came to visit me a few more times by himself. A few months ago, Lee passed from a disease he never let anyone know he had. In his will, he left his business and house and most valuables to his relatives. My mum, almost nothing, though she can keep what he has already given her. 2 cars, jewelry, cash, circa $60,000. My mum never legally married him. Sam gets circa $150,000 and the rest of the money to me. It was a 7-figure US dollar, a life-changing amount. Turns out Sam is not Lee's biological child, which he found out only recently. My mum and Sam were mad, of course, and demanded that I share my money with them. I said I'm willing to put the money in some low-risk investments and we can split the gain. Not good enough. They want at least 25% each of what Lee left me. I argued that it's not like they are left destitute. Sam can still go to a good university if he cares enough for further education, and my mum has enough money to get her own place, and the investments will give us long-term income. They called me greedy and planned to take legal action, but Lee's relatives told them that they could make my mum and Sam's life very difficult if they tried to give me a hard time and go against Lee's wishes. I intend to do as I promised them, splitting the gains from the investment with my mum and Sam. I won't let them touch the money Lee left me, though, because I don't trust them to not go through that money in a few years. Am I the a-hole? Wow. That is a wild ride. What I'm surprised about in this story is, 2 things. The fact that mum was all of a sudden just changed. This is her biological daughter. Lee is the stepdad. And all of a sudden she's like, oh no, Sam, my baby and stuff, and completely neglected OP. And then the fact that when it came down to it, after Lee had died, well, Lee's family weren't great to OP before, but now they're like, to the mum, don't you touch the money because we will fight you for it. And that's a complete 180 to how they treated OP growing up and also when Lee was alive. So that's sort of positive to see, I suppose. I'm just going to see if I think OP had an update. I didn't read it, but I saw an update. Here we go. So, update. Thank you for your responses and advice. I talked to a lawyer. I told her my plan to continue living overseas and that I plan on going low contact with my mum and brother. She said I should set aside money for my mum and brother in form of a trust fund. They will be paid X amount per month, the dividend from the low-risk investments, but can't touch anything else. I don't trust them both with a huge amount of money, so this way they will always have a steady income in their lives. I know this is against Lee's wishes, but I just need to take care of them this last time. I also have a will set up that everything will go to charities. I make decent money at my job, So I set up a will. So I set up a will a while back. My family knows that. My family knows this when everyone visited me that one time. Sam still has a year of school before university, so he should still be living with my mum in the meantime. My mum has a room in a high-rise that Lee gave her a while back, so they should be fine with a place to live. I plan to support Sam's university expenses. He's not academically inclined, but in our culture, he will definitely be pushed to go to university. I'm still working with my lawyer to see how that can be done without having to get too heavily involved. As to why Lee never found out before about Sam, my mum is mixed race, while both of her children's fathers and Lee are the same race. Sam and I look like her, so it's hard to tell. Don't know why Lee decided to investigate after all this time. He was to blame for Sam being spoiled too, which with how much he had been letting Sam spend over the years. My mum is 10 years older than Lee. Okay, 10 plus years older than Lee. Maybe that's why she had the affair. She had a university degree, so she can find a job if she wants. Her jewellery should be worth nearly 6 figures, though there's always that. Lee's relatives took carrying out his intentions seriously. Ever since Sam became more problematic in his teens, the relatives tolerated him for their blood connections. Now that he's not, my mum and Sam are instantly in their bad books, I guess. Once this mess is more settled, I'm thinking of asking my workplace for relocation. A change of scenery should be nice. I like my job, so I think I will continue working, but maybe my vacations can get a little more extravagant from now on. Wow, okay. So Opie gives an explanation, I suppose, about the relatives and why they sort of aren't on Sam's side, who obviously they treasured when he was younger, but because he's a bit of a twat, really. From what we can see, and the relatives are like, yeah, we don't like you, and especially now that you're not even part of our blood, then yeah, we don't like you. So it sounds really good for Opie, and I'm really pleased for Opie. She's not the a-hole whatsoever. I would not agree, with the a-hole, and I think the community agrees that she's not the a-hole. Let's look at some of the top comments. The money was willed to you. So one comment said, the money was willed to you. You're under no obligation to share it with anyone, least of all those who only think they are entitled to have it. You are already being generous with your plan of giving them a part of the proceeds from the investments in order to support them. It's not your fault if they continue to think that they deserve more and choose to be disappointed with what you give. So think nothing more of it and live your life to the fullest. Another comment said, you are too generous by half, but congratulations for getting everything sorted. I think that's fair, yes. She's being very generous, she's sort of going against Lee's wishes, but to be honest, she just wants her brother, and that is her brother, they share blood and everything, to be okay. Let's see what another commenter on the original post said. NTA, you aren't his biological daughter, but the daughter he chose. Splitting the gains is already nice for me, but don't give your mother too much, otherwise she will pay a lawyer to sue. That's right. But then they're not married, so this is the thing. The mum and Lee aren't actually married, so what legal standing does she have? I mean, obviously it's America. It's sort of, the laws are different in different countries, and in America, I think it's even more complicated because they're different in every state. But yeah, I ain't saying she'll go. Yeah, I think that's a good story and a good update. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. We're gonna go and read story 2. Okay, story 2. AITA for not sharing my inheritance with my sister since she chose to be adopted. Throwaway account. I, 30 male, lost my mum when I was 5. Despite being so young, I had very vivid and treasured memories of my mum. I did not take to my dad dating a year after her death well. My dad recognised that he knew this would be hard for me, but said that as the parent/adult, he knew what was best even if it didn't seem that way at first, and he'd thank me in the long run. Not long after that, he married my stepmom, Lucy, and when I began to act out over it, my dad said that parenting alone was hard and that my sister Jessica, 28 female, needed a mum. My dad even got my maternal grandparents to tell me that everything would be fine and how I needed to be a good boy. That was enough to get me to behave during the wedding. But once Lucy moved in and started redecorating, I started acting out again. My dad had had enough and just started punishing me whenever I acted up or made Lucy upset, as well as used the Jessica isn't acting out like this. Um, and to be honest, Jessica was easily pleased and wasn't alive long enough to have the same attachment to our mum as I did. It really upset me when Jessica started calling Lucy mum, and it ticked me off when Lucy started referring to me as her son. I always corrected it when she tried that around me. It got worse when I was 8 and Lucy had her own kids because then my dad and her started pushing for adoption, sorry. Jessica obviously had no problems with it, but I refused. My dad had my maternal grandparent come in again and tell me that adoption wouldn't be that bad, but I still refused. Lucy and my dad pushed for the adoption anyway, but thankfully the judge listened to my feelings in a private room and denied it. After that, therapy started, and it didn't last. It didn't last. So they also tried the since you don't want to be a part of this family, you don't get X, and you can't come to do Y. But I was too stubborn for that method to work on me. The only one who I felt was on my side was my paternal aunt, who kept sticking up for me whenever she'd see what Lucy and my dad were trying to do. So when I turned 18, I went straight to her. It was when I became a legal adult that my maternal grandparents confessed that they were never okay with the situation. But my dad had threatened to keep me and my sister away if they didn't show support. I was furious. So so that I had my surname legally changed to my mum's maiden name, as I wanted nothing to do with my dad, and only ever really liked to ever talk to my paternal aunt. Fast forward to now, and my grandma has passed away. Grandpa died in 2020, and only legal grandchildren, according to their will, only their legal grandchildren are to split a $250,000 inheritance. And since Jessica is legally Lucy's daughter, all she got was a framed photo of my mum in a letter. Jessica doesn't think it's fair and thinks I should share. I told her to get money from her legal grandparents. My aunt thinks I'm being a bit hard, so AITA. Okay, OP. Right, sorry. I want to see something. So OP lost their mum when he was 5. His sister is 28, so he's two years. So see, from this story, right? The OP's sister also lost their mum when she was 3 years old. That is so young to lose your mum. So then when another woman comes in the picture, of course she's going to see her as a mum. You can't blame her for not really knowing mum, and you can't blame her for wanting to be adopted and all of that, especially when her dad's even pressuring her, and apparently maternal grandparents, even though obviously they were being coerced. But yeah, I think it's a bit unfair. OP's put in a couple of updates and edits, so let's have a look. Edited to add, because someone asked. I've had 2 years it has been 2 years since the last time she's spoken to either of my grandparents, while she has frequently called and interacted with Lucy's parents. Jessica was never close to my mum's side of the family because she'd rather spend time with Lucy's family or didn't want to hurt their feelings. Right, okay. See, now that with that context, it makes a bit more sense now why OP's acting like this. There's another edited to add. When Lucy moved in, she and my dad took down all of my mum's pictures and got rid of her things. I wasn't allowed to keep any pictures in my room, and then I would catch heat if I tried to celebrate my mum's birthday, more on the anniversary of her death, and get punished if I didn't celebrate Mother's Day the way Lucy wanted me to. So yeah, she wasn't this saint of a woman who stepped in when my mum couldn't to me. Wow. Right. This is a public service announcement. If you are a stepmom or a stepparent or a stepdad, whatever, do not try and replace the new parent. It's ridiculous. It's a sure-proof way to alienate the child. 1 and 2. If you had kids and you passed away, would you want your child to never remember you? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't like that. So why do you think it's okay to do that to someone else? There is a way to honor, the woman that gave you your stepchild without completely erasing them. Like, why are people so evil? Okay, another edit by OP. Edited to add. Because I'm starting to see the same thing. I don't blame Jessica for choosing to be adopted now. I'm angry at her belief that she should get money from my grandparents despite never showing any interest in having a relationship with them since she was 18 plus. They reached out numerous times, but she never bothered, yet had the belief that she's entitled to their money. That is what has ticked me off. My mother, so that was one. Two, my mother had a sister who also had kids. I'm not getting the full $250,000. Three, no, I don't expect anyone from Lucy's side to leave me anything. Nor would I demand Jessica's share. It would be completely hypocritical. Last update. My maternal cousins and I had a meeting, and we all agreed that since Jessica couldn't be bothered to speak or spend time with our grandparents once she was an adult, she doesn't deserve the money. We had our grandparents' estate's lawyer send out an official letter to Jessica. She said that she would challenge the will, and I told her she's welcome to do so. I'm fully prepared to never see her or speak to her again over this. So the community has said no NTA, and after the edits and the more context that OP is given, I completely agree. I think OP is NTA. It's hard though, isn't it? Because Jessica said lost her mum so young. Was convinced that well, they raised her mum from the house, from her memory, I suppose, because if all she had pictures, then her memory wouldn't have been. Her memory would have come from the pictures, and they raised that. But there was her grandparents who were willing to have a relationship, and she chose not to have that with them. I know it's a bit harder when she was younger, but as she got older, that is something that she could have asked her brother to help her with. And then to come in and ask for money now, it's a bit too much. I mean, then there's the other argument that I suppose the grandparents would have just left her maybe a cheeky 5,000 or something, just to say, look, we love you, we know your mum, we were your mum's parents, and here's a bit of money. But it's their money; they can do what they want with it. At the end of the day. Right. So let's look at some of the community comments. NTA, interesting how she only wants to be family now that money is involved. She hasn't spoken to them since she has spoken to them in 2 years. Another commenter said, NTA, your grandparents have plenty of time to change their will. They use a specific term, legal grandchildren, for a specific reason, because they wanted you to inherit from them. They assume Lucy will inherit from her other Jessica will inherit from her other grandparents, and she probably will. Or if your dad is still sore, you may be excluded from his will, and they want to make sure you're adequately covered. Oh, that's true. I mean, the dad's level saying, "Oh, we'll exclude you from this because you don't want to be a part of the family, or we won't get this." Then yeah, OP could very well be cut out of the will. Certainly will be cut off Jessica's will, Lucy's will. Sorry. So yeah, let me know what you think, guys. I think there are a couple of comments from OP, but they kind of repeat what he's put in the edit. So yeah, what do you think? I think he's not the a-hole. I do feel sorry for Jessica, but she's a 28-year-old woman. Her grandparents, she could have said hi, she could have written them letters, anything. She did not have to go and, clean their house, whatever. She just had to, keep in contact. She chose not to. So yeah, now she's seeing what that is. Actions have consequences, and now she's cow dung. So yeah, let me know what you think. See you guys next week with another video. Keep well.